They say you can never really know a person. I used to laugh at that. I mean, come on, when you've grown up with someone, shared secrets, heartbreaks, birthdays, and hospital visits, how could there possibly be anything left to hide? But I stopped laughing the night I found out my best friend had been murdered, and the only evidence they had. It pointed straight at the one person I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. My name is Daniel. I'm 29. I live a pretty quiet life, or I used to, anyway. I work in IT, nothing fancy. I like black coffee, true crime podcasts, and Sunday morning jogs through the park. But none of that really matters now. The only thing you need to know is this: I had two people in my life I would have taken a bullet for. The first was Ethan. He wasn't just my best friend, he was like my brother. We met when we were 10 years old, back when friendships were made on playgrounds and sealed with video game marathons and secret handshakes. We went through everything together: high school heartbreaks, our first crappy jobs, breakups, makeups. When my dad died, it was Ethan who stayed up with me all night, just sitting in silence because he knew that's what I needed. He was that kind of friend. The once-in-a-lifetime kind. The second person was Lena. Lena and I had been together for 3 years. We met at a mutual friend's party, ironically, one that Ethan dragged me to. She had this calm confidence about her, like nothing could rattle her. She challenged me, grounded me. I'd never been in a relationship that felt so easy and real. Ethan loved her too, not like that, but he was genuinely happy for us. At least, I thought he was. To most people, we probably looked like the picture-perfect trio. The kind you'd see in Instagram photos with cheesy captions like, "My people." But behind the smiles, something had started to shift. I just didn't see it then. Or maybe I didn't want to, because one night, everything I thought I knew about my best friend, my girlfriend, my life, shattered, and it started with a phone call I will never forget. Ethan and I weren't just best friends, we were chosen family. He was there for every chapter of my life that mattered. When my mom passed away suddenly during my junior year of college, it was Ethan who packed a bag and drove 4 hours just to sit beside me in the hospital. No questions, no drama, just presence. That's who he was. Loyal. Fiercely so. We shared everything: birthdays, breakups, vacations, even a showbox apartment our first year out of college. The kind of friendship where words weren't always necessary, where silence felt safe. And Lena came into my life because of him. He introduced us at a small dinner party he was hosting. Nothing fancy, just wine, pasta, and a few close friends. She walked in wearing this navy blue sweater, hair up in a messy bun, and Ethan practically shoved me in her direction with a grin. "Dan, this is Lena. She reads more than you do. Try to keep up." That night, we talked until 2 a.m. Everyone used to joke that the three of us were like a perfect triangle: balanced, tight, and unbreakable. I believed it. We went on road trips together, hosted game nights, even had our inside jokes. Ethan would always call us his people. But over the past few months, something changed. Ethan started pulling away. At first, it was small things: cancelled plans, unread texts. He said work was crazy, that he was just tired. But he seemed distracted, anxious. Like he was carrying something too heavy to put down. And Lena, she started changing too. She became harder to read. She'd get up in the middle of dinner to take calls in another room. Her phone was always face down. She said it was work stress, and I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. Still, deep down, something didn't feel right. One night, I finally cornered Ethan after weeks of silence. We were at a bar we used to go to in college, the kind of place that still served greasy fries and overwatered drinks. He looked wrecked. Pale, jittery, like he hadn't slept in days. "I have something to tell you," he said, eyes barely meeting mine. "But I don't know how you'll take it." I laughed it off at the time. I thought maybe he was going to confess he lost his job, or that he was moving away. I told him to spit it out,
that nothing he said could change how much I cared about him, but he never got the chance, because by the end of that week, he was gone. The call came on a Wednesday. It was around 7:30 a.m. I was still in bed, half asleep when my phone rang. It was Ethan's neighbor, a woman I barely knew but recognized from a few hallway run-ins. Her voice was trembling. "Daniel, I think you need to come. It's Ethan. Something's wrong." I don't remember the drive over. I barely remember climbing the stairs to his apartment. But I remember the door was unlocked. I remember the smell, that sterile, horrible scent that clings to death. And I remember the silence. He was on the couch. Just lying there. Peaceful, almost. Like he was asleep, but the empty pill bottles on the coffee table said otherwise. There was a note next to them. Folded neatly. One sentence, written in shaky block letters: "I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore." That was it. The cops ruled it a suicide almost immediately. No signs of forced entry. No struggle. Just a note, and too many sleeping pills to survive, but I knew Ethan. He was terrified of death. He once refused anesthesia for a dental procedure because he didn't like not being in control. The guy used to check expiration dates on Tylenol twice. No. This didn't add up. Grief turned to obsession almost overnight. I started with his phone records. I pulled every text, every call, every location ping I could get. I spoke to his co-workers. Most said he'd seemed off lately, distracted. One said he asked for time off the day before he died. No one knew why, and then I saw a call from Lena. At 11:47 p.m. Just hours before Ethan died, and it wasn't short, over 22 minutes long. I dug deeper. Pulled up street cam footage from near Ethan's building. It took days, dozens of emails, a favor from a friend who owed me, but I finally got it. There it was. Lena's car. Parked outside his building. That same night. I confronted her the next morning. At first, she denied everything. Said she hadn't spoken to Ethan in weeks. Said I was letting grief twist my mind, but when I showed her the footage, the call logs, the evidence, something cracked in her face. She sat down slowly and whispered, "He asked me to come. Said he needed to talk. Said he had something he had to confess." I asked her what he told her. She hesitated. Said it was emotional. That he was crying. That he'd been spiraling, but her voice wavered. Her eyes kept shifting. The story changed, subtly, but enough for me to notice, and in that moment, I felt something shift inside me. Something cold and sharp. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her so bad, but I couldn't unsee what came next. I didn't sleep for days after that conversation with Lena. Grief doesn't come in neat stages. It's messy, erratic, like a storm that hits you without warning. I couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ethan's lifeless body, that note, the emptiness of his apartment. I kept replaying Lena's words in my head, trying to piece together what had happened. But all I saw was a blur of lies. I couldn't let it go. I needed to know the truth. So I did what I never thought I would. I started digging into Lena. I went through her phone, her social media accounts. I even checked her emails. I didn't care anymore. I was desperate for answers. Then, one night, I stumbled across something I wasn't prepared for. Ethan's old voicemail backups. They were in his cloud, tucked away like forgotten messages from a life that no longer existed. I almost passed over them. But something stopped me. I clicked. And there it was. A voicemail from Ethan, recorded only a few days before his death. I listened, my stomach dropping as his voice filled my ears. It was shaky, like he was struggling to keep it together. Man. I messed up. I don't even know how to tell you this. It was just one night. I swear. But now, she's saying she might be pregnant. It hit me like a freight train. Lena had cheated on me. And with Ethan. I sat there, frozen, as the weight of it crashed over me. All this time, the three of us had been living a lie. Ethan had been carrying this secret, one that never reached me. He had been the one to tell me about it, the one to wrestle with the guilt. But that voicemail didn't explain everything. It didn't explain why Ethan was dead. If it was just a betrayal, it wouldn't have been enough to make him end his life. Not Ethan. He wasn't that kind of person, and that's when the horrifying possibility hit me. It wasn't a suicide. It wasn't just betrayal. It was murder. I had to see her again. The voicemail had shattered everything I thought I knew. I couldn't stay in this fog of lies anymore. So I drove to her apartment, the place I used to visit almost every day. This time, I wasn't just coming for answers. I was coming for the truth. When she opened the door, I could see the guilt written all over her face. She knew what was coming. She knew I had heard the voicemail. I didn't waste time. "Lena," I said, my voice trembling but firm. "You lied to me. I know about you and Ethan." Her face went pale. She took a step back, eyes wide, and for a moment, she didn't say anything. I didn't want to give her a chance to twist the story, so I shoved the phone in her face. "Listen to this," I spat, hitting play. Ethan's voice echoed through the room, and I watched as Lena's facade crumbled. Her hands began to shake, and tears welled up in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way. I never meant for this to get out. I needed more." "What happened, Lena? Tell me everything." She finally broke down. She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. "It was just one night," she cried. "It was after you two had that fight. You weren't talking for days, and Ethan and I were both drunk. It was a mistake, Daniel, a horrible mistake. I hated myself for it. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Ethan had wanted to tell me. He'd felt guilty. He wanted to confess," she said, but Lena couldn't let him. She feared he would tell me everything, and she couldn't risk that. So she went to see him. But instead of talking it out, the conversation escalated. They fought. Ethan fell, Lena choked out. He hit his head on the edge of the table. I didn't know what to do. He wasn't moving. I panicked, Daniel. I staged it. I made it look like a suicide. I didn't want anyone to know. I could barely process her words. Murder. My best friend's life had been taken by the one person I loved most. My world was collapsing around me. I felt the rage build up, the betrayal clawing at my chest. "I'm calling the police," I said, my voice icy. "You're going to pay for what you did." Lena didn't fight me. She didn't scream or beg. She just sat there, defeated. She knew it was over. I called the police. I gave them everything, the voicemail, the footage, her confession. Within hours, she was arrested, but no matter how much justice I sought, the damage had already been done. I lost them both. Lena, the woman I would have married. Ethan, the brother I had loved more than life itself, and they were both gone. I loved her, I whispered into the empty space that was once my life. I would have married her. And she took him from me. I lost them both. The pain of losing Ethan will never fully heal. I try to carry on, to put one foot in front of the other. But there are moments, quiet moments, when I'm alone, where the grief hits me like a wave. Sometimes it's a passing thought, a reminder of his laugh, or a memory of how he always had my back when I needed him most. And then, just like that, it's gone. A bittersweet flash, slipping away, leaving me empty again. It's not just the death that cuts deep. It's the guilt. How could I not see the signs? How could I not feel the tension between us, the subtle shifts in Lena's behavior, Ethan's withdrawal. We were close, damn it. He was my best friend, my brother. I should have known something was wrong, but the hardest part? The betrayal. It wasn't just that Lena cheated on me. It was that she destroyed the one person who meant everything to me. She stole him from me, not just physically, but emotionally. I can't stop thinking about how he must have felt in those last days. How he must have feared what would happen if he told me the truth. How he was probably desperate for forgiveness, even though he didn't know it was coming. And now he's gone. And there's no chance to ever make it right. In the end, it wasn't the murder that broke me. It was knowing that Ethan died thinking I'd never forgive him, and that I never got the chance to say I did. I never got to tell him that, despite everything, I still loved him. That I understood, I would have understood. That I would have forgiven him, and now, that's something I'll have to carry with me for the rest of my life. If someone you love did the unforgivable, could you ever find it in your heart to forgive them? Or would you walk away, like I had to?